In today's episode of the Knitting Podcast, I'm catching you up on some of the selfless knitting I'm doing this season, as well as giving you the inside scoop into what yarn I'll be using for my new Franken sweater. All of that right now, so grab a cup of something cozy and let's dive in. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. I am really excited to be here with you guys for this one. It's going to be short and sweet. I have a few things I want to share with you guys today. My son has a friend over for a play date, which is really very sweet, and I love it when that happens. There might be some noise outside that you might hear. Little boys playing, but I'm going to go help my husband in a little while, wrangle all of that, and then we're taking the boys out to dinner. So I want to keep this short and sweet, but I want to share with you a couple of things that I'm working on for other folks this season. Now, if you've been watching any of the recent videos, you've seen some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you here today. One of them I've mentioned, but I wanted to give you a quick update on the status of that one particular item. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, the first thing I want to share with you is a quick update on my fire pit mitts that I am knitting for my oldest son's third grade teacher. So I shared these with you on the last episode of the podcast. I have finished one mitt and I'm almost done with the second mitt now. I ended at the middle of a bind off. Oh, I'm in the middle of binding off the very end of the mitten. We were at hockey practice today, and that's where I was trying to finish these. And then we had to go. So I had to end right here. But here is where I am with the fire pit mitts. This is the first one. I have not blocked them yet. How pretty is that? So this, I knit this one in Fiber for the People yarn. It was some yarn that I had kind of in my scrap stash. This is the Diablo colorway, and it's being held with Angel Rust in Kid Mohair Silk. So this is what I have left of the Diablo colorway, and this is just all I have left of the Angel Rust colorway. And those two together look like this. And it's just kind of a fun way to mute the color down just a little bit, but I'm loving the way that these turned out. She is similar in size to me, I guess you could say, so I'm not too concerned about them fitting. These are the short version of the fire pit mitts. I've knit several of these and I've seen other lots of folks knitting them as well. The more I knit them, the more I feel like I'm going to rewrite the pattern. Well, I don't even know if you need to rewrite the pattern, but just offer the suggestion in the pattern. I mean, people are going to do this anyway, but I feel like the hand section should just by default be a little higher. It should make it to these knuckles here, but as it's written right now, it only makes it to about here. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I wouldn't want it to be too high because the point is that you can kind of use your fingers, but a little bit more height here, I think would be helpful. So I'm thinking like something to like here. So yeah, so I'm thinking like that. But I love these. And this one is done. This one is just about finished as I bind off the top, and then I'm going to do the thumb. And then I will have a completed pair of fire pit mitts for my oldest son's teacher. I planned on knitting two pairs of these, one for my oldest son's third grade teacher, and then the other one for my youngest son's kindergarten teacher. But I decided after I was doing my frog or finish video, which is the most recent video, that I was going to take a pair of Sunday socks that I had casted on by Petite Knit, and I was going to turn that into the gift for my youngest son's third grade teacher. And that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm still working on, I just picked these up to start finishing them just this morning. So what I'm going to do is make these Sunday socks. I'm knitting them two at a time. So it's just a ribbed sock pattern. But I think what I'm going to do is just rib the leg of the sock and then do an all stockinette foot to save me some time. I can work them up a little bit faster and not have to worry about the ribbing. Just so I can get them done. I just want to get them finished. I will have enough yarn left over after completing this pair that if I want to then knit myself a pair, which was my original plan for these, I can go ahead and knit myself a pair. But that way I have something nice and woolly and warm for my youngest son's third grade teacher. I had mentioned I had mentioned on the last episode of the podcast that my son's, I'm sorry, not my son's third grade teacher, my youngest son's kindergarten teacher. I had mentioned to you that she was a viewer of the podcast, and it's a really cool story, actually. Um, I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe it was 2 years ago now. I think it was about 2 years ago now. I received an email. I had been talking about something on the podcast in regards to my son's school and some things that he was doing in class. And I received an email from a viewer mentioning that she was a teacher in the town where I live. And she mentioned where she taught, which was a school that I was very familiar with from when I was teaching before. I always knew this was such a great school. It's pretty close to where we live. It was a school I always wanted my kids to go to, but we weren't zoned for that school. So we kind of started up this communication, and every once in a while we would correspond back and forth. But I knew her as a viewer of the podcast, and that she happened to be a teacher here in our school district, which I thought was so cool. Well, last year we decided to put in for what's called a change of school assignment. Here. It's kind of like a zone variance, but you get to choose, you get to pick the schools you would like your child to go to instead of what they are technically zoned for. So it's an opportunity to provide parents with a choice of school so that they can be in control of, that aspect of their kids' education. And so that's what we did, and we put in for 2 particular schools. One of these schools happened to be the one where this individual, the viewer of my podcast, was teaching at the time, was teaching kindergarten. And it didn't connect, all those dots didn't connect immediately, but when we were accepted to that school, I realized this is the school where this person teaches, and this is amazing. And so I sent her an email letting her know that we were going to be enrolled at this school and that our son was starting kindergarten, which is what she teaches, and she was really excited about that. One thing led to another, and then my son is put into her class, and it's just this whole thing. It's so cool. So we met, and she's this wonderful lady, a fantastic teacher, just phenomenal. So anyway, that's who these socks are for. Very long story to tell you that. I think it's really awesome. She's going to be receiving these socks, and I have mentioned to her to not watch any of the next coming videos just because I don't want to give it away. But yeah, so I'm excited to give these to her. She has little feet. She wears a size 6.5. I guess I have average size feet and I'm a size 8, but she's a size 6.5, and she has really little feet. And so I guess that will save me time on knitting the socks, but they're going to be the cutest, most snuggly little size 6.5 Sunday socks, you guys. So I'm really excited to give these to her. I'm actually more excited to give her a pair of socks than I would have been to give her a pair of fingerless mitts, because I know her, I know a little bit about her now. I just know she's going to love a nice, cozy pair of socks. So that is for my son's kindergarten teacher, my son's third grade teacher, and I love that. I wanted to also share with you, because a few people have asked how I gift these types of things. What do I do in terms of wrapping them? Do I provide any information on how to wash them? Like, what is it that I do? And I don't do anything super fancy. However, I always see really lovely inspiration photos on Pinterest on how to wrap handmade items, and it's always so inspiring. I'll pop a few examples from my Pinterest up here so you can see just how gorgeous it is. And it's not even that it's that hard. It's just once you get to the point where you're wrapping it, you're probably at this place where I just want to get this wrapped. I want to know that it's done, and you don't put the time aside to do all of the little doodads that come with some of these. But one way that I am able to kind of do something that I think is really sweet and special, that looks really put together but doesn't require a lot of effort, is I purchased these kind of gift wrap boxes from Home Goods. If you're in the United States, you probably are familiar with Home Goods. If you're not in the United States, and maybe even in Canada, if you're not in the United States, Home Goods is a store. It's kind of like it's a discount store in that the products are discounted from what they would be in a department store, but the products themselves are really nice things. Like, they sell really awesome kitchen appliances and cookware. Like, they have Le Creuset cookware at a lower price than it would be if you purchased it at Macy's or something like that, right? So it's that kind of a store. Well, their gift wrapping department or gift wrapping section always has these really cute boxes. This one is one of them. So it's just a little box like this, nothing crazy, right? But it's so cute, and it has a little place to put, their name and who it's to. This was one that I did for Angus for a pair of mittens last year. and then it's just a box. But how cute is that? So it's a box with little Christmas elves on there. So what I'll do is I'll get some really cute tissue paper and I'll take the item that I've knit and I'll kind of wrap the item up and maybe tie the item together with some baker's twine. And in the baker's twine, I'll slip a little card, or maybe I'll tie on a little craft paper tag and it'll say, not super detailed in terms of like percentage breakdown, but it'll just give what's in the yarn. So for example, these mittens will be merino, mohair, and silk, which is really lovely. And so it'll say merino, mohair, silk mittens, hand wash only, right? Hand wash, cool water, gentle soap. I don't know. And you could be as detailed or as vague as you want to be, depending on who it is that you're gifting these to. But because I'm not sure how she would launder these, if I hadn't mentioned it, I would probably be a little bit more specific without it coming off kind of uh like pretentious or luxury, like these are made with the finest mohair and silk and you must only hand wash them in like the tears of children. Like you need to just, you don't have to be that crazy. You just let them know what's in it, and then give them a little snippet about how to care for it. So that's probably what I'll do, is I'll wrap them up, or that is indeed what I'll do. I'll wrap them up with some baker's twine, slip a little card in there that gives some little tips on how to launder them or care for them, tissue paper, slip them in this. Bob's your uncle, and you've got a really cute gift box if you're short on time. If you want to do it in a way that's, in this box, when I purchased it, was $2.99, right? $3. But if you want to be a little bit more decorative and personal, or you just want to put a little bit more oomph into it, look up on Pinterest gift wrapping for handmade items. And I'm telling you guys, it is so inspiring and lovely. I love it. And maybe I'll try to pull out all the stops this year. These are done pretty much, and then these will be finished pretty soon. So I'll have some time to think about it. But that's typically what I do when I gift hand knit items, is I present it nicely with a little card in there that tells them how to care for it. And then that's it. Okay, the next thing I wanted to share with you was this. On the episode where I talked about whether I was going to frog or finish it, this was one that came up. Now, this is a portion of the Sundance throw by Mama in a Stitch, and I knew I was going to frog this, or that I wasn't going to finish it. I wasn't in love with the yarn. I didn't enjoy working with it. It didn't feel great in my hands. You can watch that whole video and hear me talk about it. I will tell you, however, that I have washed this in my washer and dried it in my dryer. And we use pretty gentle detergent and it feels much better. So many people replied in the comments saying that they understand that that how I feel about that yarn, that they have a very similar, or that they've had a similar experience with that yarn. However, it always softens up after washing, and that is absolutely true. This is so much softer after having been washed. However, I am going to donate what's left of that yarn, and I finished, or at least I bound off or just stopped knitting on this, and I am going to donate this as a little lap blanket. It's not very big, and well, I'll tell you. So I'm going to donate this as a little lap blanket to the Ronald McDonald House. We actually have a Ronald McDonald Ranch for kids here in Boulder City, Nevada, which is a town just outside of Henderson where I live, and they accept donations. And I would love to, now that it is off the hook and clean, to wrap this up, package it nicely, and send it off to them for some little one who might find it to be, just a cozy, maybe it'll bring a smile to them and have it be just a little cozy element that they can have around them to keep them warm, sitting on their lap, something small. Somebody brought it up in the comments. I was thinking that I would donate maybe the project and the yarn and the hook to a senior center and somebody could finish it. But then somebody said just to tie it off and be done with it and donate it as it is, because it's the perfect size for a lap blanket, or even just some like a small cuddler for a really small child, something that's just cozy and soft and like just like a little hug, if that makes any sense. But it is really lovely. The yarn did soften up quite a bit. The colors are really pretty. So if you do have an interest in knitting the Sundance throw, I definitely do recommend the pattern. I think it's a lovely pattern and super fun to knit. I'm not a huge fan of the yarn, but I don't mind. Now that it's washed, it's really soft and lovely. So that's, I don't know. I think it's a great one if you have the wherewithal and you really want to make this. I think a fantastic pattern. So I definitely recommend it. But that is what I'm going to be doing with my Sundance throw. Okay, the last thing I wanted to share with you guys today were some ideas I had for the yarn that I want to use for my next Franken sweater. So I'm going to be casting on to another Franken sweater in January after the holidays are over, and I'm really excited about it, and I want to share my yarn options. I have a couple here, and I'm trying to use stash yarn. Um, I'm hoping that I can. And I'm also trying to keep it to, I want it to be as similar to the yarn that I used in the previous Franken sweater as much as possible, just so that I can hope that my notes and my gauge and everything stays pretty much the same. But I've taken some pretty good notes, and I've figured out some numbers and some counts and things if I do need to adjust my gauge. But this is what I'm thinking for my next Franken sweater. I knew that I wanted to go for a really lovely warm gray color. I don't have a gray sweater that I have my Newtiden and Kick Drum Fiber for the People mohair Felix, but I wanted something that was much more true gray with a really nice floofy fiber paired with it. So I have this. This is Peyton's Classic Wool Worsted. It's 100% virgin wool. It says, yeah, it's 100% pure new wool. One of my favorite budget kind of rustic yarns. I love it for just the fact that it's very minimally processed. It's all virgin wool and it feels lovely, and it comes in a really fantastic array of colors. This is the one that I have right here. This is the color Natural Mix. It's just a really pretty natural looking gray color. So this is what I'm thinking, and I'm thinking I want to pair this with this mohair that I've shown you here on the podcast. I have had this in my stash for so long. Well, like about, I don't know, maybe like 8 months I've had it in my stash, and I've been wanting to use it. And I feel like this might be the perfect opportunity. So this is the two together for just a really lovely, warm gray color, almost like on the verge of like a mauve. It's really like a really very pale mauve. Like, doesn't can't you see a little bit of like purple in there? Just the smallest suggestion. I don't know, but I think that they're really pretty together. So I'm thinking this is what I'm going to do when I cast on my upcoming Franken sweater, and I'm so excited about it. Yeah, this has to be it. The only other thing, and this is what I brought out, I tried another combination of colors. It's this, and I started knitting a little swatch. Oops, pardon the microphone. Um, so I was trying this. It's just a really pretty mustard brown color. If you remember my cable cardigan or my cabled sweater that I attempted to start, and I'm planning on ripping it out, I'm using the same Peyton's Classic Wool in this swatch as I was using for that. This is also the same mustard color that I'm using in my stripe pipe pullover. I have so much of it. So I have this, and I'm pairing this with a skein of leather by Fiber for the People on Surrey Silky. And this is what I'm coming up with. Now, I love this mustard color. I just don't know if I want a sweater in this mustard color. I know that this is very much one of my colors. You see it a lot of times on the podcast between like my decor things that I wear. I wear a lot of this color and I do really love it. But when it comes to this next sweater, I'm just so much more drawn to something that's a really lovely earthy gray color. So I tried this to see what it would look like, and I think it's really pretty, but I don't think that this is going to be my next Franken sweater, at least not my very next one. I'm really loving the idea of these two together. It's just so much more like what I'm looking for. So that's really exciting. So this is going to be a new Franken sweater. Cannot wait for that. There is going to be a knit along that I am hosting for this Franken sweater where I share with you all of my notes, walk you through how to make your very own Franken sweater. If you're interested, check it out. It's over on Patreon. You can find all the links down below in the description box, but that's where I'm going with that. My plan is to finish these and then get that stripe pipe finished. I have 1.5 sleeves left and that thing is done. And sweater number 18 to work on after that is finished. So fun things, lots of fun things, especially another Franken sweater saga. That is going to be exciting. But that is all I have for today, you guys. I'm gonna go wrangle my children with my husband, and we're gonna go get some dinner. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed yourself or took value from today's video at any point, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. And I will see you for Wednesday's episode of the Midweek Ramble, where I do a comparison of sorts that I think you're going to find rather helpful and, if anything, very interesting. So be sure to tune in for that. But until I see you again, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.